If you actually knew how to play Monopoly properly, you could actually use the same lessons that we learned from the game in real life and how practically we can use those things to get to financial freedom with passive income. In this video, I'm going to discuss exactly how we do that. Hey guys, my name's Ravi. Welcome back to Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. It is such a pleasure to see all your smiling faces. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and of course, drop me a like for the video. In this video, we are definitely talking about something that is so universal when I mention it, but is also something that's so misinterpreted. Something that we do not simply understand in terms of how it applies to our real life, because a lot of lessons in this game, the Monopoly game, actually teach us how to do this effectively in real life. I'm going to share with you 6 lessons from the game of Monopoly and how they apply to real life, and I'm going to use real life examples to really showcase how we can use the lessons and teachings of something like Monopoly to win in real life. So let's jump straight in to the 6 lessons that you can learn from Monopoly. Lesson number 1, invest early. We already know how to play Monopoly, and what we haven't figured out is how to optimize it, because what the main aim of the game is to do here is monopolize, right? To win with the most money, and in order to do that, we need to start investing early. This is the same sort of thing that I advocate on my channel here. Of course, none of it's financial advice, but a lot of it is common sense. The earlier you start, the less you have to do long term, because if you can purchase property early on, you get the compounding effect long term. You often hear this, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market that's more important. And I totally advocate for this. If you're able to then time the market and get into a really good position really early on, well then you're gonna make the benefits of years and years of hard work by not having to really do much. So in the game of Monopoly, the key is to go around the board the first time and actually go and buy everything you can possibly buy. Because at this point, the real estate's new, right? Nobody has ownership over it. You go across, and if you apply yourself and you actually land on the right things and you go out there and invest, you have the investing mindset. Now, a lot of people in reality are actually going around the board, right? Not wanting to invest at all. And they actually go around to earn their salary, which is $200 that you get past go. The truth is, most people are living life that way. And we can see already the cracks in the system when you apply that same mentality in not only the board game, but in real life. Something that the board game doesn't actually focus on is inflation. Imagine if Monopoly 2.0 actually had an inflation concept involved, where every 5 to 10 minutes, the actual price of all the real estate actually went up by a certain percentage. Now, the money that you're holding that you get every time you go around the board and make $200, it actually is worth a lot less than if you had invested in that real estate. That's something that maybe, Hasbro could definitely hit me up about. It's definitely not sponsored. So if you effectively go and invest early, you then take advantage of the real estate without anyone actually owning that. Now, we all know what happens after that, but we will continue through with our lessons. Lesson number 2, have a clear strategy. Now, in this one, it's not so much about having a clear strategy with, buying everything you can and, investing early. I think you will do exceptionally well at investing early with whatever you buy in terms of real estate. Where you need to have a clear strategy is when you start trying to accumulate specific types of, properties, like if it's the greens, if it's the reds, because once you have the set, it allows you to then purchase and be able to build homes on them, right? 4 greenhouses, 1 hotel. And so in order for you to do that, you need to have a clear strategy. Now, if you go out there and say,
oh, well, look, that's the expensive property, I better go there.
And then you suddenly go, oh, no, I want this property. And then when you go in and you try and trade with other players, you tend to lose yourself. You fall basically flat on your face because you don't have a strategy. And that's the same thing I advocate on this channel. I talk to a lot of people through strategy sessions. If you are interested in booking one, there's some sessions still available, which you can book in the link in the description below. But essentially, having the strategy allows you to keep focused with what's most important and what you believe is the most important to keep you going to achieve financial freedom. Lesson number 3, don't sit on cash. I see this quite often, even when I was playing the game, as a child, in my teenage years, with my friends and things. They were so concerned with, oh no, I better have cash on hand. The truth is that cash will come and go, and it's a velocity of money, right? It's money moving around. If we sit there and focus on cash, When we go around the board the first couple of times, you're like,
"Ah, it's okay, I'm gonna save my money. I wanna have an insulation. I wanna have more security because I have cash in the bank."
and then I'll come and buy real estate. Well, what happens in that case? Because if everyone else is thinking the same way, yeah, makes sense. Everyone can do the same thing. However, we know that not to be true, not only in the game, but in real life. Because what happens is some people may go, well, I don't value cash as much as you do, which means I will go and invest, and I suddenly get to real estate before you do, which means you trying to save your money as you go through the game. It's the same way as you go through life, just saving money. The devaluation of our currency not only means that it's worth a lot less, but the available real estate that was available is now not available anymore, which means they dictate price now. Sometimes it ends up leading to people complaining about,
Oh, prices are going too high.
or
That rents are too high and now I have to pay rent.
at the end of the day, that's the reality, right? And we're not all going to work on the same path as everyone else, and you need to figure out what is the right strategy for yourself. And I don't think it's about sitting on cash, whether it's in the board game or in real life. Lesson number 4, focus on cash flow. This is something that people need to start focusing on in real life, whether it's creating budgets, whether it's creating more side hustle income, and really evaluating what they're spending their money on. Even for me, when I started investing in real estate, I really tried to figure out what I was making versus what I was investing and saving. At the end of the day, if I just had that money sit there in a bank account, it would look really nice, but it was an ego metric, right? It would go,
Oh, look, I've got $200,000 in my bank account.
doesn't mean a lot, right? But if I had the $200,000 leveraged across 3 other properties and they actually were positive cash flow, and now I've got assets worth maybe $800,000, that sounds a lot better to me. At the end of the day, that gives me more financial choice because now I have more streams of income. Multiple streams of income is something that we discovered during the pandemic was so important. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people couldn't go back to work, and what work looked like was very different to pre-pandemic world. And so as a result, if you had multiple streams of income, that wouldn't have affected your financial situation as much, and equally wouldn't have caused you financial stress. So when you're in the game, you need to focus on cash flow. So as much as it's about investing early and having a clear strategy, you're able to go and focus on what real estate you really want, but also focusing on cash flow is important because without cash, you're not going to really survive in the game too long. And that's why having a clear strategy and following multiple lessons that I've discussed in this video will allow you to not only smash it in the game, but also smash it in real life. Lesson number 5, expensive doesn't equal value. Wow, this one really hits home for a lot of people. I hope you just got triggered because I hear this all the time.
Should I buy a property that's worth $800,000 versus the property you're suggesting at $300K, Ravi? The types of properties you buy are more affordable. Why wouldn't I just go and buy something more expensive? Doesn't it have more growth?
No, it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you could have a position where the affordable property actually grows quicker and at a higher percentage value than the property that's, more expensive. Let's look at statistically, when you're looking at Monopoly, the best properties to actually purchase would be the orange properties near that free parking sort of zone. Now, that's statistically how it plays out. I'm not sure if it's based on, how the dice work and whatnot, but at the end of the day, that's how it works on the board. And the truth is, orange is definitely not the most expensive. Yet, if you secure those, statistically, you have a higher chance of winning Monopoly. I truly believe this to be in the same realm in real life. The reason I don't focus on the brown properties or the light blue properties, which are the cheapest, is because they're generally in an area that, maybe you got some good yields, but they're in an area that doesn't have fundamental growth. Now, I know that we're sort of detaching away from the game itself because they don't have growth and inflation in there, but when we apply that to the real world, you've got to think about it. Do you want a house that looks like absolute crap in the middle of nowhere but presents a good opportunity in terms of yield? Or do you want a property that's actually located in an area that has good fundamentals, really good rental demand, and you have supply and demand work for you, which means overall you're going to get not only good cash flow long term, but you also get good capital growth. Those are the types of properties I personally would focus on. And that allows me better cash flow because now when I want to go build a property, like build a house on it, it doesn't cost as much as if I was to look for, say, the more expensive green or dark blue properties. And that's the same thing that I find in real life that too many people are focusing on.
Hey, maybe I should just buy one really expensive property property
versus maybe 2 or 3 more affordable properties, because in the 2 or 3 more affordable properties, I can now diversify, right? With the one really expensive property, you've put all of your life savings into one asset, and that to me is really, really risky. And so it wouldn't sit well with me, and it's the same thing in the game. I mean, statistics prove it. I'm not sure what else to say. And lesson number 6 is negotiations and leverage. Now, before I continue on to what that last lesson is, definitely leave me a thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, smash that red button, subscribe to the channel if you are interested in more content like this. If there are any other games that I should be aware of, I am aware of Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki. I think that's Monopoly 2.0. If you are interested in a more detailed version of, my breakdown of that game, definitely leave me a comment down below. I love it because that game actually is a lot closer to real life, and it takes on a better approach where you try and escape the rat race, and then you get into, I guess the next level of financial freedom. So if you want a video about that, definitely leave me a comment down below. So with our last lesson, negotiations and leverage, this all comes down to communication. And negotiations is not just a salesy term. It's not just about when you're buying real estate or selling real estate. It's actually about life. Now, when you go in and you apply for a job, you're negotiating, right? You're selling. And when you have a conversation with someone, let's say it's at work, let's say it's within communication within your friends, it's all about sales and negotiating and communicating. These are key skills to learn from the game because it does help in real life. If you're not really in a position to leverage because you didn't apply the last 5 lessons and buy good real estate in good locations, it means that you don't really have anything to offer in that negotiating sort of scenario. And that's where you end up losing. Now, it's safe to say, I have played the game quite a bit. I haven't played for a while though. But at the end of the day, the most important thing here is that if we're able to follow all of these lessons, we'll not only smash the game, but also be able to learn those lessons and apply them in real life. Too many people are getting too caught up with really complex situations, complicating things, making things sound so complicated. Maybe you're here on this channel and you continue to learn from this channel because I break it down simplified, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't need to be very complicated. So these are my 6 lessons from playing the game of Monopoly and how you can apply the same lessons from the game to actually go and apply that in real life. Now, if you do have kids or you haven't played the game in a while, I urge you to definitely go and play the game. I think there's digital versions now as well. I'm not sure if you guys would be keen on maybe having a monthly round of Monopoly every time. I'm sure there's apps or, a website where we can play online as well. I love the game, not because it just, it's an entertaining game, but I think there's a lot that people can learn from. You've got elements of tax that you have to pay. You've then also got this salary component, which is you going around the circle every single time and earning $200. People getting happy about that. That's effectively how people are trying to play in real life, where they go, well,
I make a salary, but I'm not going to invest it, and I'm just going to save and save and save, and then I'll buy my house, and then I'll continue saving and saving and saving and paying down that house.
If we really apply the same rules with Monopoly, you wouldn't win, right? Everything else is going up in price. Inflation is killing the dollar, and I think now, more than ever, the rules and lessons from Monopoly apply to real life, and I really hope you take advantage of it. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you have enjoyed this content, definitely leave me a thumbs up and a comment down below. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys.